village and came to the US. Kupitia tu Nairobi nikienda airport. What makes you think that when you go back utaenda Runda ama Lavington?
So it all has
Those
to
are
go
the
back
mistakes
to your
we
roots.
make. If anything, America improved you just a little bit of that villager. Go back to the village and you'll be a better elevated villager.
Wow.
If you go to Runda, utakuta Runda kuna wenyewe.
Hey, welcome back to Mizizi Lounge, the only place where we handcraft your spices just for you. No preservative, gluten-free, just for you. Again, today our guest is Captain Njue. He lives in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I'll give it a moment for him to introduce himself and take it from there. We'll talk further, and it's going to be a fun moment. Thank you. Welcome, Captain Njue.
Thank you very much, Mercy. As you have heard, my name's George Njue. Well, if you're a respect of ranks, I'm a captain by rank. I've lived in Raleigh for close to 23 years now. My family has been here, but right now back home. That's it, that's me.
Nice. So why captain? Because I'm asking you this because I have elderly friends, and there's a time one of them told me, oh, you know, you don't have to refer to me as Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so. So with you, which name do you prefer? Captain, or you want me to call you Njue or Mr. Njue? Which one do you prefer?
Unfortunately, among my Kenyan community, there are places you go and talk about George Njue, which is my name, and they'll say they don't know me. But the minute you mention captain, you don't need to say father. So, as it is my rank, of course, it means the rank will be buried with it. I'm more known, or you are more identified with the rank captain, which I don't mind. I'm proud about it.
Okay.
But my names are actually George Njue.
George Njue.
I acquired my rank in the military when I served in the Kenya Army for close to 9 years.
Wow.
Before I retired.
How was that? You know how you've lived here in the US compared to the captainship back home, being in the military back home. Any difference?
Well, reasons that one may leave Kenya first to come abroad are pretty obvious. We simply come for education, which is looking for greener pastures, further education. I came when I was at the age of 38, so I was grown, I had a family, grown family. So I was not really looking for education, I was looking for green pastures.
Greener pastures.
I came at a time that the Kenya economy was becoming worse and worse, and there were no new opportunities. So the minute you leave work, the work you've been working, and you get to somewhere else, the opportunities were closed. So instead of your life actually going up, it was always going down. If you're fired or you lose a job for certain reasons, you cannot get back to the same position. That means you cannot get back to the same life. So it was necessary to venture outwards.
Exactly.
Before then, I had been to courses abroad, you know? But I remember we used to leave the day that you graduate or the day you're done with your course. Actually, you would change the uniform. Sometimes I remember I left England and I traveled in uniform in the plane because I didn't have any time to change, because I wanted to be out of England.
So everything was abrupt.
It was not bread and butter to decide to make that decision to travel abroad to come and live here, work and live here. It was quite a challenge because living a moderate life in Kenya and then having to go to a foreign land to seek for greener pastures. We are simply talking about kulea watoto, kusomesha watoto, and about that. And many people actually, it's at the same time that Kenyans started venturing out. Between the last 30 years is when we have had most Kenyans going abroad. We all used to be in Kenya, hata ukienda abroad unarudi haraka.
Are those the days when someone is traveling? I remember those days growing up, all those big people, leaders, when their kids are traveling, you could hear it on the news, on the radio, on the TV. So did you come that time and going to the airport, they could put leaves on the road? It was a celebration.
Yes, it was pretty much because going abroad was a big deal.
Yeah, nowadays they just
if you have read this book by Okonkwo, where Okonkwo, and he was going to England, it is the whole village was at the airport with cars with banana leaves and stuff like that.
It was a
that
big
one used to happen in Kenya too.
It did.
Anyway. But well, mine was a little bit different because people had started getting advanced. It was about my fifth time to go abroad.
Oh wow.
So as much as it was important to their villagers, even today is when you come from abroad, people in the village, you'd like really to know exactly how is the place.
How it is, true. It is
not
true.
as much as it was then. And of course in the previous years it was much more.
And you talked of coming for greener pastures. Was it really green as we all think when we are on the other side?
Kenya, we got to a point where, and even today, you have the education, you have the health and the energy, you have the motivation, but you have nowhere to direct these resources, simply because there are no openings. That being the case, you decide either to sink with the situation or look for greener pastures elsewhere. So, as much as we would have wanted to stay in Kenya, personally, I would have really wanted to stay in Kenya and be able to pursue things within my age bracket today. But circumstances really became difficult. To date, we are experiencing the same stuff today.
Right. True.
Yeah. How many of our graduates who do not have jobs today?
True. It is
Many.
unfortunate.
Many of them.
Very. So is Raleigh the
So the greener, as you arrive here, it's greener because it's greener than where you're coming from. It's not a walk in the park to live in this country too. It's really difficult because, and I was talking to somebody the other day, telling them it costs too much of your life and efforts to live a day here.
Very
compared to my village. Although I don't have all the amenities, all the good things, I don't need to drive in the village, I don't need this, I don't need that. It makes my life easier, so I don't have either to put too many hours of work to be able to live.
True.
And that's a good thing because so long as you exchange time with money, then you're poor. And I don't think that's the purpose God brought us here to do. We're not brought to work.
It is very true. So is Raleigh the first place you came? You settled?
Yes. No, I came to Wake Forest at the seminary college, where my cousin late Gilbert Kibuti lived, and they were my hosts. And that's the same place where I met most of the pastors in the Raleigh, Kenyan pastors. That's where they went to school. So I stayed in Wake Forest for a couple of months, then I moved to Raleigh, and ever since I've been in Raleigh.
And we all know, it's funny how the irony of life, or it is as human beings, when we're still in Kenya, we all want to come abroad. But when we come abroad, we all want to go back home. And I feel like people in our age bracket right now, everyone is like east to west, home is best. You've tried going back, or rather you commute back and forth. Where do you see yourself retiring, and what are the reasons?
That decision is very individual. In the fact that we all, when you're away from home, you want to go back home, and it's exciting to be back home. home is home. Home is best. Whichever east or west, home is the best place you can. But then again, there's one thing I say, and I learned this from a Belgian business partner that I had in Mombasa, who told me, George, in case he was an old man that time, he told me that if he died in Mombasa, just bury me here, because what the ants would do me in Belgian soil, the same way that the Kenyan ants would work on my body. So really, let's not worry taking me by body to Belgium. So that is something that really makes our life so difficult. Difficult in the sense that one leg is here, the other leg is in another continent. Now, you wonder where to develop, where to put your full potential. You find you are divided because you are a part of your family is on that side, so a part of your heart is there. So, in our culture, also demands that your presence should be seen by what you are doing, and that's what makes you. For example, in my village, in my culture, I'm expected to have a home, a house in Embu. Now, without a house in Embu,
you're nothing.
Then I'm nothing. So I'm forced to put money in a house in Embu, a house that probably I'll go once in 3-4 years.
Exactly.
Now, that's how we are divided, and that's why we are not able to progress so much here, neither so much there, but just be like the hyena went on 2 ways. That has really have a big impact on our not being able to move forward as it would, as our potential really tells. We work hard.
We do.
But when you're divided, your resources go.
You have to divide, it's not enough. And the social life too. It's unbelievable how here you have everything. Back home, those days, if you have a car, it looks like a luxury. Here, a car is a need. And when someone sees you have a car, it's all debt. We haven't paid fully for it, but you can drive whatever. But back home, you can use public means. Life is a bit easy, but if you sit down and tell someone about the same thing, I wish I can leave home, they're like, how, really? You're lying, because we are here, but we are stuck here. You came here maybe 3-4 years ago. You already gotten used to the life here, but now packing and going. You look like a foreigner back home, but deep down your heart, you still want home.
There's one thing is when you are seated here, you cannot be able to really do a good appreciation of what to expect. Because in the last 22 years, the longest I've stayed in Kenya was when I was there for 8 months, for 6 months. The other times, the longest I used to stay there was 4 weeks, purely vacation. Moving from one hay place, going to Mombasa, then attend to business, attend to tribal issues here and there. and at the end of the day, you find you have to rush to the airport because your time is up.
You have to come
Tell
back.
me, when did you have enough time to do your calculations, be able to evaluate situations? When did you actually try to earn a penny so that you know how it is to earn a penny in Kenya?
In Kenya.
We only go to spend.
We do.
We never earn.
No.
So deciding to go back to Kenya means that you'll have to have a way of means. Either you have saved a lot of money, so you are retired, so you're going to eat what you have retired on, or you are still going to work or start a business to be able to sustain your financial life. Now, you have had no time to do that feasibility study. So, and the details that you have are shabby. Going now there to sit and now be able now to evaluate one thing after the other. You wake up in the morning and you have to know what you got to do, what you have to navigate through to have to earn a living, and at the end of the day be able to put something aside and also enjoy what made you live in the United States to go and do. You see, it is now until you go and sit there you find how wrong you are, and that's why you've seen so many people go and come right back.
So where's the right place to do your feasibility study? While still here, or you pack and go during the vacation time? That's when you take your time, but again, you never
vacation time is vacation time.
So when is the right time, and where do you do it from?
Vacation time is vacation time.
So when do we decide? When do we sit down and be like, okay?
Where you begin is your minds. That's where you begin. Make that decision for better, for worse, because that gives you the strength and the motivation to work hard. That opens your inner ears and eyes and intellect to be able now to see what is in front of you. Once you have opened up your mind and say, okay, I'm giving myself 5 years from now, I'll be back in Kenya. Then now you have opened your minds and eyes to see now, when I go back to Kenya, wow, you go a day. How is my day gonna be in Kenya? What am I gonna do in Kenya? You see, how is a week gonna be? How do I end a month into there, then a year and all that? You have to be able to run a pictorial situation of your life and how it will be. Now you start filling up the gaps and say, okay, I'll need this. So I have to prepare and have a house. I'm not going to leave this place, then go to Kenya, start renting. I'm not going to go to Kenya and start working. By the time you think of buying a car, the smallest and the most junk of a car you can buy in Kenya, it's going to cost you not less than 1 million Kenya shillings. That's a staggering 10,000.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of budgets you should be looking at. So you start with your minds for you to be able to open up now your eyes, the insights, to see the insights beyond your vocational issues, the realities that are there.
Wanasema kwa ground.
Yes. Lazima uwe kwa ground kwa sababu ni tofauti. Ni different sana.
It is true.
Yeah.
And I know, Captain, you went home, is it a year ago or 2 years ago?
2019.
2000. How long were you home for, and what did you think? Because were you going to just do your feasibility study, or were you going to settle back home?
Although, well, there was an understanding that because my wife had made the decision to go back, I had to simply shift my base. But I knew there are too many things. By the time we leave, the 3 months that we wanted to be out of here were not enough for me to be able to roll up my stuff and be able to go back.
So in 3 months, you decided we were going?
Yes. So I had to come back at one point and be able to you know, tie up a couple of things that needed to be tied up.
Makes sense.
For example, after 20 years of working, of course, there was social security to think about, which in my mind, initially, I did not look at it. So it is at home when I saw what was going on, I say, by the way,
I have some money.
In a couple of years, I should be entitled to some money.
Collect,
and that money, even when I'm here, probably that could as well be my retirement money. So some of the reasons that made me come back here and be able to find out my status of my social security, probably push it up to the time I'm 62 years or so, then I'll be able to, whatever I'll be in the world, I can still hit the wall and get my money.
You'll be sure you have money at the end of every month, at least, to get you going.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good. So, and I know a lot of people, I know there's those general reasons or ideas you can tell people before you pack and go. Please ensure you have this, ensure you have that. When it comes to business, a lot of people want to make sure they have millions and millions of Kenyan shilling. Some people are like, I need to have a house. And building that house, you need someone to be there to run your projects. So what is your take on, okay, at least the basics? Some people say you can go rent as you do this, as you do that. What can you generalize and tell people? Because as you say, your experience was different and you came back because this and this and that. So let's say today I want to go. What can you tell me, Marcy? Ensure you have this besides the air ticket.
I would say again, it starts with the mind.
Mind, of course, in this case, my mind is ready.
Once you are set on your mind, then you start doing the right things to support what is in your mind. Whether you're going to rent or not, those are decisions that you make while you probably build a house. But let me say this, let me pull you a little bit back. We make a lot of mistakes.
Okay.
If you are not a businessman, when you are in Kenya, you came here, you are being to do business, What makes you think that when you go to Kenya, you're going to be a businessman or a businesswoman? Mistake number one. The other thing we do is, because you came from a village, for example, my village, Ndagaya. If I came from that village and came to the US, kupitia tu Nairobi nikienda airport, what makes you think that when you go back utaenda Runda ama Lavington?
So it all has
Those
to
are
go
the
back
mistakes
to your
we
roots.
make. If anything, America improved you just a little bit of that villager. Go back to the village and you'll be a better elevated villager.
Wow.
If you go to Runda, utakuta Runda kuna wenyewe.
Exactly. Wow. I never thought about that.
You see? Those are the mistakes we make all the time. Sincerely, if you've never lived all your life in Nairobi, why would you retire and come from America and go to Nairobi?
You know, that's
Nairobi si kwenu.
we all want to go.
You
No,
see?
I want to go to the village.
If you're in Nairobi, you're as good as being in Raleigh, because it's still a foreign place. Go to the village where you came from, and that's where we can see your improvement if you've been in America for a while.
And I think
But if you go to Runda, nobody is likely to see it, to notice you or see any changes on you.
Wow, this is an eye opener.
Yes.
It is.
So it is a question of pahali ulitoka, kama ulitoka Umoja,
Rudi huko.
go and improve Umoja. You'll be an improved breed when you're in Umoja. So is any other place you are. Don't think that coming to America and staying for 20 years qualifies you to. You cannot even afford a house. I mean, not what are you talking about?
Yeah, it is expensive.
So, kama wewe ni wa Gisagi, kwenda Gisagi. Kama wewe ni wa Nairobi Eastlands, go to Eastlands.
Go to your roots.
That way you'll be able to
actually.
If you go to Runda, you're going to exhaust the little savings that you got before you actually become a Rudia. I mean, you become like them, or you'll never be like them.
Never, no.
If you try to go and live next to Mr. Wanjigi, who has his house is worth about $750 million US dollars, at talk semi Kenya.
Ooh.
So what are you talking about? His house is about 7.5 million worth.
You know, people go with the mentality of, now I had all these great amenities, how will I go back to the village? But indeed, the village needs you, for sure. That's all you know better. You can improve, you know which areas to tackle and all that.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. And how about security? That's the other thing. A lot of people who want to go, they're like, oh, the security back home. I know medical is really big. That one is a no-brainer. But, I mean, if you can afford the private hospitals, maybe the services renders are better. How about the security? When you are there, what were the challenges you faced when you went back for that short time?
That's one of the biggest challenges. It has been a challenge. It has been a challenge even to our own tourist industry. Because if you are not certain of what would happen to you if something happened, then you are in such a confused situation. In Kenya today, anybody can do anything to you without any considerations, because there is no system. There is a system, yes, but the system does not work.
They can break it.
Here, if you had a problem in this house today, I'll just call 911. And in no time, depending on the interview that the dispatcher will have, if I tell them, like they respond, if they hear is a child's voice, they will respond it's a priority response. If it's a female response, the same way. If it's a man, they'll be a little bit relaxed. That guy can fight for himself a little bit more. But they'll be here anyway. Now, in Kenya, you're supposed to dial 999.
999. They'll tell you we don't have money for mafuta ya gas.
And nobody may pick that phone even. Leave alone. Ukipata mtu, you are lucky. But even if you get somebody will tell you a heap of problems that they have that they cannot respond, tutakuja kesho. And actually they will be you will not be surprised to see them actually coming hours. Now, to me, there's no police force. There's no help I can expect from the police. Now, the other thing is, just as you walk normal and do your normal things, or you're driving and do your, somebody can snatch your watch through your window, and there's nothing you can do. Your handbag can go anytime, anywhere, any place. Now, if you walk, so long as it's a little bit dark, even daylight in the center of Nairobi City, you can be mugged. Yeah. Now, that is one village. Being in the village is even more scary. Because tunyumba ni tuwa matope ama tuwa ndaka ama tuwa mabaya. We live, ukienda Gishagi, tunyumba ni shiki. Unaona tu sasa, yes, nitafunga mlango, lakini hii kakipigwa hata teke
itabomolewa,
atafunguka tu, hata hii kanyumba kakigongwa vizuri. So, and as you get to the village, everybody across knows that George Njue, that guy who lives in America, is here. Watakuja kuchukua hiyo madola umeleta. And they are not clever enough. They may even take your life.
That's very unfortunate.
So that uncertainty is really, really scary. And one need to consider. I'm one lucky guy because the first thing when I went home is to embrace myself na wakora wote wa kwetu.
Oh wow, that's
then from there now you can have some.
They know you have some peace. But do you think it's a mentality we have because some people leave home already, or is it because this new person is here?
It's new person normally.
They see the money.
You find that even the businessmen, for example, are in trouble.
Yeah, they have to know the locals.
They have to know the locals. They have sometimes to bribe their way up, just to keep their safety. So it's simply general insecurity, and of course, crimes are so high, and the police is unable to contain. Rather, they are not interested. They are pursuing money in their own individual ways. So they are not interested in really rendering the maintenance of.
It's about them at the end of the day. And do you have an idea what could be done to improve that, or for now we can only give ideas, but whether it will be reinstated or not, we don't know.
Because there are too many things, and this has to start from the top all the way down. So if there are those inabilities or that don't care attitude right from the top, that comes all the way down, and as it comes down, it becomes like a pyramid. It's magnified because the base becomes wider. So all the crimes all the bad things that are happening up there, they are multiplied when they get down here. And the improvement on this, it can of course improve in overnight, I can assure you. But it depends on the government and the person on top of the government. That's the only way that Kenya issue can start. We can start seeing some of these social changes.
Wow. And you know, Captain, today won't end before I talk about our tea, our bread. What do you think about the tea and the bread? Again, the bread was made using Mizizi flour, and the tea, we used our chai spice. That's a local spice company located in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we are sharing a table, and you know, in African culture, we have to share a meal too. So that's what we're doing right now. What do you think about the tea and the bread?
The tea is great. Okay. At least you can feel the taste of the spices.
Thank you.
Quite a good taste, finished taste. And the bread here, of course, is done from, this is wheat, and then you got the white.
The regular
That's really good because you also cater for people who are not really into white. People with issues, health issues.
Yeah.
I have tried mandazi before, and I think I had sent you a picture of it before.
You did.
And mandazi,
and the ugali
they're
too,
beautiful.
Right? Thank you.
Ugali also is, you've taken an initiative of providing ile unga ya kienyeji.
Ya kisiagi, ya tinga ugali.
It's very, very, very nice because it's also healthy.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So if you have any question about chai spice or flour, you can always reach out to me. I'll be there to help you out, and we are there 24 hours. And back to Captain. So what is the new venture? I know you just touched based on it. So do you mind exploring further what you're planning to do back home?
before I came to United States. Okay, fine. I'm an agriculturist by profession, and the 6 months I was in Kenya, I was able to establish a Muguka farm. I've got 1 acre of Muguka.
Okay, those who don't know Muguka, what is Muguka?
Muguka is a shrub. You chew it. It's like Miraa.
Is the
it's
same
Miraa.
as Miraa?
Yeah, it's the same cultivar. They're the same family as Miraa. But the Miraa, you use the twigs. You eat the twigs, the back of the twigs. But with Muguka, you eat actually the top 3 leaves.
Wow.
Soft. Now, Embu happens to be the leading now producers of Muguka. And you can see the economy has improved. You can see it as you walk around the villages and stuff like that, because as much as it has social negatives, whereby kids have left school to go to work in the Muguka farm, and also to chew Muguka. Muguka is an intoxicating substance, shrub. That gives you some. You build a lot of castles. I chewed a little bit.
Takes you to cloud 9, right?
Yeah. So I was able to establish my 1 acre.
Oh wow! How long does that take to grow?
We started harvesting. We started harvesting this season. We count by rains. It needs like 4 or 5 rain seasons.
Oh wow!
No. 3 rains, 4 rains, which is 2 years, for the shrub to grow from down to almost a tea bush, kind of. So I'm an agriculturist, so I had that passion. My wife started doing some tomato farming, and she also did vegetable like sukuma, carrots, and stuff like that, and garden peas. Before she was disappointed of the markets. She grew a lot of tomatoes, like an acre of tomatoes, spending over 300,000 to bring them up. But when she went to the market was offering $20 shillings per kilo. That could not even actually pay for the transport of bringing the tomatoes to the market. So most of it went to waste and give it out. So she gave it out. She doesn't want to go there. Now, so...
Do you hold up? Sorry to interrupt. So do you think value addition could have helped that? Maybe making tomato paste, tomato sauce?
Of course, that's the way to go. That's the way to go. Definitely, that's the way to go. We have to come up with agro industries. This is purely what we call home industries. Small home industries that are able to tap some of these wastes.
Exactly.
Because most of the agriculture in Kenya it relies on the rainfall, and the rain pattern is unpredictable. So it can be very good and have a lot of bumper harvest, but you find there's maize everywhere. So the price of maize, nobody actually want to buy your maize. So if you intended to buy the maize, to sell the maize, you have nowhere to sell it. So you count it as a loss. But just imagine if there was an industry that would be able to convert that maize into flour or animal feeds or stuff like those, then it means that maize would have actually been stored and be sold at a time and be able to gap up those times where the seasons are up and down. Then would have a flow of provision of food, or food would be available in a more smooth line than sometimes people starving and sometimes they have too much. So as things like fruits, mangoes go to waste. When it's avocado season, avocados go to, every time there is overproduction. So if we had industries that would be able to process these things, preserve them or convert them to other things, that's value addition, then it's the way to go. And actually that's the next phase that Kenya agriculture needs to go. That's the direction.
Yeah. Wow, sorry to hear that. I know how much time hiring people, just the whole process, but again, sometimes you just have to pick the pieces and keep moving.
We go to, it does not really cost a lot, because it's not that we have the skills. For example, I'll give you a very good skill, a very good example. Maasais know how to dry meat because that's how they used to preserve meat. There's nothing of the foods that is more expensive than sun-dried meat. The skills are with the Maasai people. So why can't we do the skill? Just provide them with the necessary large-scale kind of production of doing what they already have.
They're already doing. We only buy the Maasai.
It is in the United States. Try go to a store to buy the smoked dry meat. The smallest piece will be costing $4 plus.
It is, and it's only small pieces, not a lot in that.
So we have the skills, because drying things like dried tomatoes are very expensive. Suppose we had a way of being able to dry 1 acre of tomatoes. That's to try and go and buy dry tomatoes in the store today. You see how much it costs. So these are the areas. This is the next phase of development. The industrialization in Kenya and other developing agricultural countries, that's where they need to go to. And I don't know whether we are too much reliant on the government to bring these things to us. And if the government is reluctant, it does not mean that people cannot do it. For example, why can't people with dairy farmers who produce milk, why can't you go ahead and build your own dairy? Why do you have to wait for the government to come and build a dairy for you? So these are some of the bits that we are short of. And that's where we need to push our people. We need leaders who can push people to the next thing.
Next level.
If the government is not able, why don't you do it yourself? Also, we have a problem with the government. Because even if you want now to develop that dairy in that village, the government still has to license you.
Too much paperwork
and
involved,
they can refuse you to build the dairy out of a political issue or simply out of a personal grudge. Competitiveness is okay, that's healthy.
No, but in this case, they don't want you to already start what they're thinking, or you've given them an idea to start it.
Yes, or you have to bribe somebody to give you a license to open up a dairy. And if you don't do that, then you close it as soon as you open. So the goodwill of the government also comes in at every stage of development. And it's important that.
And that hinders a lot.
Yes. You asked me about ventures. Of course, we have to keep thinking. We have to look at what have we learned new that is applicable in our homes, at our homes. What can I do like the Americans do to be where they are? So those are the areas you look at, and bring that knowledge and that technology, which has technology or knowledge, to be able now to establish it and be able to create a business for yourself and possibly create employment here and there.
True. So as Captain has told us, I'll say the takers has told us, if you're there thinking of going back home, please do your research, and it starts with the mind. And I like the idea that you've said, if you lived in a village. To me, I hadn't really thought much about it, because most of the people, let's say they have kids, they were looking at the big schools, let's say Nairobi, all the big towns, and that comes with a big cost. It's not cheap. So that means your expenditure is increasing, the rent is increasing. But the way you've said, go back to your roots, go back home. You know that city better, you know the area well. So I think that's a very important point if you're thinking of going back home. And if you're not a business person, as you said, both here and back home, maybe do a lot of your homework before putting all your money into that. Any advice you can give the young people in Raleigh? I know you've been here for quite a while. What do you think about our community? What can we do better? I know we are trying to sum up and just...
Raleigh is a great place to be in. We have seen Kenya community grow from when we used to know each other, everybody. We used to know everybody. Up to a point where now we are running in thousands of Kenyans. In fact, like 8 years ago, we estimated that there were close to 6,000 Kenyans living in the triangle.
Wow.
That's a good number. I also like the cohesion among our people, coming together to help each other in case of problems. When we lose our beloved ones back home, we get together, mourn with people, and also help with our substance. That has been a very, very good thing. We've also been meeting occasionally to celebrate our national heritage, remembering our national days, and joining other Kenyans back home in celebrating our national days. This has been very, very empowering among our people. It has also exposed our children to a culture of togetherness. You know, we have tried to re-establish the village relations that we experience at home, where everybody knows everybody. And we have
They
succeeded.
call everyone auntie, uncle.
Yes, and we have succeeded relatively well. Although still there will be those divisions here and there. But as you know that Kenyans are Kenyans and they love each other. Whether wewe ni Mjaluo, Mukilifi, Muembu, Mumeru, Masai. When there is no politics, we are very good and we are very good together. The minute a drop of politics by a politician drops on us, we fall apart. So that is dynamic. Kenya's community is dynamic. But I would also want to say something about our youth. I have seen kids born here and now they are adults, young adults. And I don't know for real why they keep off from their Kenyan people. That a Kenyan child born by two parents, Kenyan, would opt not to attend a Kenyan function, a Kenyan church, and opt to go elsewhere to an American cultured situation.
Do you think it's the language they don't understand?
As much as the language, we have accommodated them. We have really accommodated our children in issues of language. But hata tuseme a family inatoka Kenya, watoto wakiwa age ya 5, 6, 10 years. I'm telling you, give them 2 years, they would have forgotten all the Swahili, all the Kikuyu, Kijaluo walikuwa wamejua. They would have forgotten that, and they're only speaking English. That actually gives the parents a problem to understand. Because they become more American than Americans. However, it is important for the parents to keep these children to their lines, to their roots. To be able to remind them or be able to expose them to whatever cultural or tradition that they can of their people. Now, to the youth, it is important. This country, 90% of Americans live on borrowed life. We have a culture of saving. If I could put all these kids together in high school and those in colleges today and tell them, you know what? Once you start working, because you guys are doing good jobs, professional jobs, good. I like actually Kenyan children because school has been #1 and that is very important. They have concentrated on school and most of them are highly qualified and got good paying jobs. Please get to a culture of saving. Something that you put on the side. I'm 60 years old. Put something for tomorrow. It is important. $50 a month. When you are 20, count how much money you have when you be 60 like me. And that is very important. That's something I would really want to emphasize.
Wow, that is some knowledge right there. And growing up, I know we had aunties, uncles talk to some of us or some of our brothers. Do you think that could help just to encourage them or introduce them to the culture? Because as you say, this life here is so busy. Parents are busy working. Maybe by the time they come home, they don't have time for their kids to even sit them down and tell them about the culture. Do you think maybe that could help? Or do you see people who might have time to do that? Life is already so busy here, as you say.
Yes, it can be busy and it's busy for everybody. But ask yourself, why do Latinos maintain their culture? Why do Latinos know their kids from whatever stage of life they can speak right Latino? What do the Latinos have that we don't have? So I can blame the parents to the larger extent because Swahili wanasema mtoto aleavyo ndio ukuavyo. So if you have the Nairobi mentality that when your child speaks English and he goes to Gishagi anaongea Kizungu, watoto wa huko wanashangaa, wanamwangalia kama he's from the moon. And that is when you as a parent you feel like good. Today, when that child or you parents, today if you cannot speak your language, if you cannot write your language, then it is a sad situation, because what can you teach if you yourself cannot? That is not, we wouldn't say that that is lost, because you can always bring back the kids to what you think you missed. I went to school in Nairobi. Actually, I was born in Nairobi myself. And I've been brought up in Nairobi, only a small sting of my life that I went home. I have never really spent a whole year in Embu, my home. But I have tried to, my Kiembu, to keep it as Kiembu. I know Kikuyu better than the Kiembu, because I lived among more of the Kikuyu people. And but that does not mean that I do not know Kiembu, or I can't read Kiembu. I try to keep it up, and it is important we keep trying, because some of these things are going away. They are being eroded away, and once they get out of us, we will not be able to catch them back. So it has to be an effort, concentrated effort.
Okay, we'll try our best. Parents out there, please, let's try our best. Let not the culture to be forgotten, and by so doing, I think the kids get the interest too. And it doesn't have to be a whole lesson of maybe Swahili or whatever vernacular language you speak. Just a word of hi, mambo, sema, habari, those kind. It starts small like that. And
you see, that's why at the end of the day, parents turn to, and it's a good thing, to Christianity. Why? Because Christianity is a complete way of life. It will mold a child from all, in all aspects. There's no any other culture. If somebody has to be established, has to be identified with a culture. So kama mtoto yako hana culture, atakuwa nini? How would you be able to identify yourself? It becomes difficult, right?
Sure.
Waswahili husema
mkosa mila ni mtumwa. Yeah.
You see, because you are no identity, you belong nowhere.
But do you think it's because deep down they know they won't go back home? This is where they belong.
Yeah. You hear a Kenyan, a child born by two Kenyan parents say, broadly say that my father and my mother are Kenyans.
They are Kenyans.
I'm American. And they are proud to say that. And I really don't blame them, because that's the truth. They're Americans. But if they look at the African Americans, how they admire the African culture and desire.
And they've been traveling a lot recently.
And desire to have a culture. Then it is the time that you know the value and prevent from losing the culture. Because there are people who are trying to search it, to look for it. American community generally, they came from everywhere. The white people came from Europe. Those who came from England, they tried as much as possible to keep their English styles, food, manners, ethics. Those who came from Germany, they have also their own ways of maintaining their Germanyhood. The others also who wear even Scots. What do you call them? The ones who celebrate Scottish. Scottish are very, very, very traditional. Here, the Scottish Americans still maintain that. They still celebrate that, and they still wear their green skirts. So, what we should understand is, those who lost are trying to find their culture. So why should we, if we know that, why should we let it slide out of us?
We just need to try and
let's just keep it because we have it. If they admire us because of our Kenya, Africans have nothing to show the first world. It's only the culture that they can be proud of. And the culture is not just about physical. It is even mental. It is what shapes us. It is who we are.
True.
It makes us whole. It compacts us to something that is identifiable. You know, that has certain values
True.
that are important, and that's what culture is for us. it's everything, let me say.
It is true. Wow, that's very informative, Captain. Thank you so much for your time. And everybody out there, it was a pleasure hanging out with Captain today. Very intelligent guy, and we're looking forward to more sessions with him. And you can always pick a topic. You can tell he's so diverse. He can talk about this, he can talk about that. So if there's a topic that interests you, let's say you want him to indulge with the young boys, you want him to talk about culture, business, about going back home and things like that, please let us know, and he'll check with his schedule and he'll sure deliver to you guys. Again, thank you so much for your time. This is Miss Zizi Lounge, the only place where we handcraft our products just for you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Until next time, see you on the next side.
Thank you. Bye.